products all in one place.
You can't stop storms from coming.
Cops knew that they were racing against the clock.
Given the weather conditions, the police knew that this was related.
Currently in our area, 69 degrees with light rain. Tonight, scattered showers or thunderstorms, low 64. Chance of rain, 40%. Saturday, thunderstorms likely, high 76. Chance of rain, 90%. Saturday night, thunderstorms, low 61. Chance of rain, 80%. Here's our 7-day outlook.
We're taking you live to Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, where it's absolutely gorgeous right now. People walking the boardwalk, but this time next week might be a completely different view. In fact, maybe even by as soon as Tuesday, Wednesday, that could be a completely different view right there. But let's go ahead and get the latest Florence and the rest of the tropics with storm specialist Mark Elliott.
And if nothing else, those little 1 to 2 foot rollers of waves coming in could be significantly different by early next week. And the chance for mid to late week of a full-fledged hurricane on your shore is not out of the question. Let's talk about what we know right now, where Florence is, the current stats. It's a tropical storm, 65-mile-per-hour winds moving west at 8. And, you know, because it's weaker, it's continuing to move west a little bit easier. That northerly component that was there when we had a major hurricane is no longer at play. The high pressure is still building in, which is stopping that motion from going to the north. The further west we go, the longer this motion continues, the more likely it is that someone along the East Coast is going to have real impacts here. And I would think that we may even see a return to Hurricane Florence as early as the 5 o'clock advisory. We're going to wait to see what the National Hurricane Center does, of course, but we've had a fairly persistent blowup of thunderstorms around that center. It's squashing the dry air down to the south, not showing quite as much of that influence from the shear. So the look of the visible imagery looking a little bit better at this point compared to earlier today, which of course is bad news if that strengthening is to occur. I guess if we get strong enough and it curls away, that would be good news. It all depends on how the atmosphere digests all of this. The bottom line is that it's in a high shear environment for the moment, but it won't stay there. As it moves to the west, look at this forecast, back to hurricane status sometime this weekend, and then continuing to increase from there back to major status early next week. And of course, the million-dollar question goes from there. Where and what happens after that 5-day time frame? This part of the forecast is pretty, consistent. Not that much model spread. That said, we go out in time here. Some of these models turn pretty early, could miss the entire land. Others barely budge, could be going to South Carolina or Georgia. So we have to hope, Chris, for that turn early, but hope is not a good forecast technique, right? We really do need to start preparing, or at least thinking about what your preparations will be.
2 questions for you.
Okay.
First one, on Monday.
Yes.
In a good way, what would surprise you that's realistic?
If 94L is somehow a tropical storm by then. That would surprise me in a good way, because it means that's the out for Florence. Florence would then be able to curl north, kind of follow the path of whatever 94L becomes.
So it's not likely, but possible.
Correct.
And that would be good.
And that would be good.
Okay, so what would surprise you in a negative way that would be a potential bad outcome, but still possible?
If it's already Cat 4 plus by Monday or Tuesday, that would surprise me in a bad way.
Possible, but not likely.
Not super likely,
okay,
but not completely out of the realm of possibility. And if that is happening, it means that high is pretty strong. There's nothing in the way of the hurricane, and it could mean a buzzsaw type storm, that round hurricane going right on into, say, Georgia or South Carolina, southern North Carolina, something like that. That would surprise me in a bad way.
Those are the two big ends of the spectrum,
yes.
really.
And again, those are not the most likely possibilities, but they are still possibilities.
And in between's not great either.
Correct. There's a lot of ways that the East Coast is in play here, and that real impacts are at play for the East Coast. And we're talking Maine to North Florida. Like, the whole East Coast is still at play at this point.
Wow, it's out of control. Thank you so much, Mark. And what else is out of control, really, is when you look at the Atlantic, and it's really a sign of just where we are right now. September is the month where we do hit that peak of hurricane season when we come to activity and named storms, and there it is. So if Florence, doesn't have direct impacts, there's more, unfortunately. And we're just off. There's many times you can have a really busy season, and you get a lot of storms that develop. You never really hear about them because they stay way off. But unfortunately, the way things have been looking lately, with Florence now with Invest 92L, which by next week could be in the Caribbean, and still not out of the realm of possibilities that it eventually could make its way farther to the north as well. So we're looking at this also, what could have a name soon off of Africa. And then, Liana, we have to remember about the Pacific as well and Hawaii.
Yeah, the Eastern Pacific also has been very active. In fact, it's been pretty active even before the Atlantic. But we do have two hurricanes that we're tracking, Norman and Olivia. And Olivia might be an issue. So let's start off with Hurricane Norman. It's a Cat 1, winds at 75 miles per hour. It's moving northwest, so steering way clear of Hawaii. But it could be working some waves and impacting you that way. But by Thursday morning, we're looking at winds down to 25 miles per hour. Olivia, different story though. Cat 3, 115 mile per hour winds, and it is moving west-northwest. But watch what it does as far as the forecast track. As we get into Monday, Tuesday, models are hinting that it's going to directly impact Hawaii as we get into next Friday. So something to take a look at as we get into Wednesday morning. That's where we have those 65 mile per hour winds possible. We'll keep a close eye on that.
Don't forget that